last year, the UN described the current climate crisis as a code red for humanity. I'm really concerned about the future of the children being born today, essentially. And on a selfish level, I would like to have children, but with what I see at the moment, I'm not super sure it's a great idea.
I've always wanted to be a mom, and I feel like my desire or want to be a mother is being slowly ripped away from me the older I get, so that's really upsetting.
I can't morally justify raising a child in a planet that's literally on fire.
My generation will not get to grow old or enjoy the different stages and experiences that life has to offer.
Things that are predictable and have been predictable for a very long time are being ignored. So just not having a future in general is a pretty scary idea to grasp at 17.
Is there going to be a natural disaster that devastates my home? Are we going to have food shortages? Will I get left behind? Will my family get left behind?
My biggest fear related to climate change is that we are actually on track to lose it all.
I feel like I constantly see on the news about unprecedented fires and floods and hurricanes, and I think about how people aren't going to be affected by these things equally.
I live in Austin, Texas, so right now we're seeing triple digits, and it keeps getting hotter in Texas from the last 2 years I've lived here. It's becoming more unbearable for folks to be living in this part of the region and seeing how that's going to affect us in the future and what we can do now to stop that.
Some people think of Iraq as just a desert, but it's much more than that. We have a beautiful nature and scenery distinctive to each region within the country. It would be devastating to see all that just get ruined with climate change.
Some of these experiences seem like they are far from us, but seeing people struggling to get water, as a person who has lived with water scarcity or water shortages for quite a long time, it's frustrating.
In BC, we have seen the impacts of climate change firsthand, from forest fires and wildfire smoke everywhere, to extreme cold and extreme heat that is so uncharacteristic. So we need to be sure that when we're talking about climate change, we're not talking about concerns for the future and solely anxieties for the future. People have legitimate fears, concerns, anxieties today.
My biggest fear in the future as it relates to climate change surrounds the lack of prioritization for the needs of disproportionately impacted communities of color and low-income communities.
I think my biggest fear would be people will continue fighting against each other and finding things to fear instead of focusing how we can work together and create solutions and think positively and help each other.
I have a few things that cause me fear when it comes to the climate change. First, in governments actually listening to their citizens to take substantial climate action, but also having them help other countries who deserve climate reparations and are disproportionately affected by the climate crisis right now.
I often feel like every single thing that I do has to somehow relate to solving this issue. And it's kind of taken over my life.
It's sort of like picking at me, almost like taunting me a little bit. If you don't do this, then the world's gonna end or something like that.
And so there was this one moment, I was on an expedition with 200 people from around the world. One moment when all 200 people went silent at an ice fjord, and we could literally hear icebergs melting. So think of that for a second. Millions of drops of the purest water on the planet falling into the freshest body of water that exists. But what I used in that moment was the connection with community.
What revives me emotionally is seeing others act as a community, advocating for action.
The thing that helps me to feel more resilient is by kind of leaning into engaging this area.
All of us are connected. We don't need to take more for ourselves than anyone else. We have to change society and we have to do something different.
I find that I am most fulfilled when I am serving others and advocating for communities who have not been granted resources and a visible platform to discuss their ideas.
Having those communities, those networks of support has been the ultimate form of resilience building emotionally and mentally for me, and being able to also take what I've learned in my experiences and share them with other people.
That's really what being human is all about, and we're all going through this together. Climate change is happening to everyone, so being able to talk to others about it, really, that's what I think we all need right now.
People in communities already know what their problems are and what solutions they need. So kind of like, giving people the confidence and power to solve their own problems. I think that's what, also fosters emotional resilience for people in communities. And I think that's what I would really need at the moment, honestly. Yeah, that's what I would need.
Creating hope for myself and really involving myself in the climate movement in a way that's celebrating my heritage and the plethora of sustainability practices that are in a lot of our ancestral knowledge. I think that's something that I kind of took in terms of the way I wanted to affect the sustainability space. And this really gave me a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose when it came to the climate movement.
Taking action is our only option that we have to save this planet. And I think that the younger generation, including myself, can take the lead on this relevant initiative. We can speak up and we can contribute much more than we can imagine.
Really, what I need now is not a quick fix. I need my government to recognize my rights, and I need my government to recognize the rights of the people I love and the people I've never met.
Seeing how we can come together to provide a better future for one another through that community, through that, groups and events that we can do to bring action in not just a local level here in Austin, but on a more global scale as well.
We need to be able to imagine new futures. We need to be able to imagine futures and reimagine ways that we can exist and be in this world beyond the American dream, beyond the confines that already exist.
It actually feels like I am being a part of saving the planet, and that really makes a person happy, and that's what makes me happy.